Hey, welcome everyone to the Drippy verse. Let's talk about SPY. What's going on? What is market hinting towards the upcoming week? So now, first of all, SPY is at a very crucial level, and I think we have talked about this in the past couple of weeks. Is that what where can we see potential bounce on SPY? Will there be a bounce on SPY? And stuff like this. Will there be a catalyst for it, right? So let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, SPY. Look at this. Is this a possible inverse head and shoulder being formed here on SPY? Can we have something like this? Maybe a couple choppy days, and then SPY starts to bottom around this level, and then maybe we make a move up, or does it actually hold the support? And so remember the trend line, this right here, this support needs to hold for this trend line to hold, otherwise it's not a valid trend line. Same thing on the upside, you require 3 touches for a trend line, and we got this here, but can we get this here is the question. And these numbers on the right, so 401.52 and 382.96, this is the weekly risk range for SPY, which the options market is pricing in. This does not mean, by any means, this does not mean that the SPY will actually close within this range, but the probability says that we will probably close within this range. And also it's a short week, 4 days a week, a week which is packed with a lot of Fed members speaking. We'll go over that. So let's quickly go over the economic calendar here. So first things first, we had Labor Day holiday today, and then tomorrow we have services PMI data at 9:45. So this could move the market. We might have a choppy opening. Mondays always, remember that market is just like, continuing from Friday. And Friday we saw that we had a significant sell-off, but at the end of the day we did see the buyers coming in on Friday. So can we see market continue the momentum, to the upside, maybe play the reversal, and or does it continue the momentum to the downside on the larger time frame trend, follow the larger time frame? We'll see on Monday. But then Tuesday we have trade balance, and then we have Fed president speaking from Cleveland, and then we have other Fed members speaking. Most of them are kind of hawkish. And then we have Thursday, which is a crucial day. We have initial jobless claims data coming soon, and then we have 8:30 a.m. Another jobless data coming when they have Jerome Powell speaking at 9. Then we have some other Fed President Charles speaking, consumer credit report at 3, which could move the markets, and then we have wholesale inventory revision, which can move the market. So there are a couple of things which are going on in the market. Nothing major, nothing major yet. Next week will be even more significant, but this week also is looking good. So I think that market might actually bounce, unless you have a major news, and there are some catalysts which can actually move the market to the downside. So what I think is a possibility or a probability that something like this we can see on SPY if the momentum to the downside starts to slow down. If the momentum starts to slow down on SPY, we could see something like this, something like this happening on SPY. We retest this trend line one more time, we come back, we retest this. If this trend line holds, and this traps again some bulls thinking that, oh, we broke above this, but maybe it's just a head and shoulder, and then we break, and we finally break below this level, and then maybe possibly create a new low. So that's what is a possibility which can happen. This is one of the possibilities, right? There's infinite, but that's something to keep in mind, given that we are at a critical level. 380 was a very important support. So will SPY hold that 385 to 380 is the question. And it's 385, 382 to 385 falls within the risk range for SPY. So that's the first thing. Another thing to notice here is that RSI divergence is forming here on higher time frames now. So you can see that we have a kind of like a lower low on the divergence, but the price is actually at same level. On lower time frames is much more clear, Now you can see that here RSI is actually flat. So here it's kind of flat, the price is flat, but on 4 hours it's much more clear, um, that the RSI is starting to show some kind of momentum. So maybe we come here, test this, and then move up. So maybe we have another kind of choppy day tomorrow. We see sell off, and then we move up, and something like that. I'm expecting kind of sideways movement this week, given that it's a short week and next week will be more critical. So we did move big on SPY last couple days, so it needs to digest this move. So maybe we could be in this range for next week, and then maybe we are in this range here between 392 to 400. No, by no means I'm bullish, but from a technical point of view, yes, this would justify a bounce here. But let's talk about what's going on, and then let's talk about QQQ as well while we are at it. Again, QQQ here is looking much more bearish than SPY, because we did break below this trend line. So if QQQ breaks below 292, I mean, things can get ugly, right? Things can get nasty. We can go to 285 and then 280. So Qs need to reclaim this as soon as possible, right? Otherwise we are going back to 285. Again, RSI divergence starting to form here. Let's quickly look over another thing, right? Percent of stocks above 5 moving average, and here 5-day moving average. And now you can see here that just ignore these indicator, and now you can see we are at oversold zone pretty much. Every time kind of price comes here, we either consolidate and move up, or pretty much 20% of the stocks are actually above their 5-day moving average. It can go lower. It has been at 11, but this is pretty much where you start to kind of think about there might be a bounce. But let's talk about what's going on with some of the other commodities and stuff like that, which can give us hints toward what's going on. So crude oil starting to look like it did find support here, and it looks like it's double bottom here, triple bottom. But if it breaks below 83, game over, right? Game over for crude oil. $80 break. This is basically a nasty breakdown here on crude oil if that happens. But so far, the OPEC members today had a meeting, and they said that they'll start to think about curbing the supply for oil, and that's why we are seeing a little bit push. But in reality, it's just a small push, and the supply wasn't really affected much. But I mean, it's something to keep an eye on. If crude oil starts to break below this 84 support, things can get ugly for oil names, and in general for the broader market, for the broader oil market. So that's something to keep in mind. And then closely related to oil is also dollar. So dollar is just ripping higher and higher and higher, and the reason is that euro is dumping. If you look at other currencies, they are just dumping. Nobody wants to hold euro. Why would they hold euro, right? It's below $1 now, so dollar and euro is almost the same now, and it looks like it has more room to go to the downside, unless the euro banks come out and increase the rates. And then even then, that's a problem, because even if they increase the rates, if investors are thinking that investors are going to invest in euro instead of dollars, because the rates are increasing faster, for example, in euro, the problem still remains. The inflation in Europe is very, very high, and the energy crisis in Europe is just out of control right now. So if you look here, you can see that Bank of America may need to more than double the rates by the year. Bank of England, sorry, may need to more than double the rates by year end to get inflation under control, because inflation is at 10 and this is 1.75. So rates are much lower than what they need to be, and this is the same in US as well. So still inflation is way out of control, and it's going rampant now because of this situation. So if you guys are not aware, the Nord Stream pipeline, which is responsible for transmitting, like the natural gas for the whole EU. Germany is blocked right now. I'm sure you can read the news online. There's been news everywhere, and this is basically moving the markets, and which is pretty bad for the market in general for Europe. And um, investors really don't want to invest in European market right now, and that's why we are seeing a lot of and the Fed rate with the U.S. government federal rates also increasing. Dollar seems to be the one which is getting a lot of love, but also keep in mind that dollar is looking like it might pull back if crude oil starts to run up, and we might see a pullback on dollar, and then a little bit of consolidation. Then we'll see what happens. But right now it's starting to look toppy here. We got this wick on dollar here. So if dollar starts to cool down, it could be a temporary reversal for SPY. I only mean temporary, I don't mean permanently, but yeah, it's a possibility if dollar starts to break below, and it cannot break above 110. Excuse me. And then commodities can potentially see more action, right? So another one, we need to watch is Ethereum and Bitcoin. So crypto is starting to look like it might make a move up. So I'm looking at 1600 to see like if Ethereum can break 1600. If it can, then we'll see what happens. But so far, Ethereum is still, the trend is bearish here on weekly time frame. Looks really bearish. This is just Bitcoin chart also looks bearish on the weekly time frame. You can see clearly we just broke below this level, but on the daily it's we are in a massive squeeze here. So I'm keeping an open mind this week, and as always, keep an open mind in a bear market, because you can see even massive rallies happening in bear market, in commodities, in Bitcoin, in crypto, in anything, right? And we have to be very, very careful swinging things next week. We're now saying that, a couple other things to keep in mind is VIX. Now VIX is looking very, very bullish, and VIX just broke above, it's trending up. It just broke out of this wedge, trending up, and VIX could be the reason why SPY starts to sell off. So if VIX starts to find support around this trend line, maybe it will sell off and then start to move up. But another thing I have to pay attention to is not only is the flow bearish for QQQ and SPY, but another thing to pay attention is to look at the bullishness of VIX here. A lot of bullish order. Another thing to pay attention to is there's a lot of open interest for VIX here with 28 call, 35 call, 29 call, 35 call. So almost all of them are bullish premium here on VIX. Premium just exploded last couple of days on VIX as well. So that combined with if you look at QQQ here, majority of put buyers here on the ask side excuse me. So you can see here ask side is much higher, 67% bearish premium, and SPY is also very similar, right? So options market seems to be pricing towards no dip buys right now. Again, very similar here. A lot of put buying here on SPY. Could be hedges for the long positions. We never know with these, but there's no dip buy. We know that there's not much selling on puts going on. It's mostly buying of puts. So again, with all these factors combined, there is a chance the market could see potentially more pain upcoming week. But this can change tomorrow, right? These flow is so dynamic and fluid on SPY, it can change. So always be careful, and things within a 4-day time period you cannot really judge, because whales are buying out 74 to 50 days out, and that gives them a lot of time for holding their position. So just keep in mind this week that you could have a sideways action if VIX starts to just like hold these levels and SPY not going anywhere. So expect some choppiness next week. Maybe Thursday we'll have or Wednesday we'll see what happens. Like depending on what the Fed chair says, and some of the stocks I'm watching, despite all this, is first BTU is a Peabody Coal, and again, as I said, that's a natural gas name, energy, mineral, oil, and natural gas specifically. Could see love because of the reasons in the Europe and the scarcity of the energy in Europe, and this looks like also a good setup technically speaking, because we have a falling wedge breakout and retest, and now it's moving up. So anything above $25 this move, it could potentially go to $30, fill the gap, and if this is a small gap here. And then there are other names which are similar to Peabody, right? LNG, similar chart, it is a gap up. This one looks even more stronger. Then we have Antero Resources, which is also another one which I'm swinging right now to the upside. And again, all these names here, Antero Resources, another one is OVV. So all these names looking bullish overall compared to SPY. This is like a bull flag here breaking out. And let's look at the flow. So another thing to notice here, that flow is 30 days to expiration here, all bullish. All bullish orders here on LNG mostly, and some of these are out of money, some of these are on the money. And another thing to notice is we have BTU again, and you can see bullish orders here, selling puts, buying calls, and out of money call here, 25 call being bought for next week, 16th of September expiration. So there are some sweeps as well. So interesting, right? Very, very interesting to see this. Now another one I'm watching is a kind of oddball. I came across this flow and I started thinking, well, what could be the reason why this is happening, right? So this one is Cinemark Holdings. Now this is not really a liquid name if you want to trade it intraday or something like that, so I'll suggest to swing this one. Both of these are swing plays, they're not really meant for day trading. And there's a big gap down here on CNK. If you look at the CNK weekly chart, we are in a massive squeeze here, and it's starting to look like it's breaking down, although the RSI on the daily is much oversold right now. But this is breaking out of this key structure, and last time look what happened on this one, right? This was a massive sell-off, but I do think that it requires maybe 2 or 3 weeks of consolidation. That would give us an awesome entry, but might not happen. And look at the flow here on this one. So this is something to keep an eye on, is CNK here got a lot of bearish order. Look at this, 4.3 million and 1.35 million, which is almost, and also 12.5 put, which is of January 2023 expiration, 20th of January of next year. You can see they're buying time, but they're shorting it by buying puts, in the money puts and out of money puts. And I think the reason could be that this news here, Cineworld Group reportedly plans bankruptcy. This is not CNK, but this is Regal Cinemas, London-based company, and they, on August 19, they came out and said that they're thinking about filing bankruptcy in Europe, and this is in Europe again. Economic conditions in Europe not good. So if that happens, if they come out and announce that we are filing for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, guess what? The stocks in the US market will tumble too, and CNK is one of them. So another one is IMAX, right? IMAX is another one looking like another setup here, very decent short setup. You can even use shares, be careful, the options are not liquid on them, so buy a lot of time. And these are not meant to be full porting. Just whenever you're shorting something, 2 to 3% of your portfolio, or maximum 5%, if the premiums are cheaper and you have high conviction, then you can go, but nothing more than that, especially on these names which are shorted by default here already. So something to keep an eye on, these stocks. And those are the two setups I'm watching. And if you are interested in day trading, if you're interested in more setups apart from these two which I'm watching daily, you can always join my Discord. Link is down below. We have a lot of exciting educational stuff on there, and a lot of great community members, and we are working on a amazing indicator which is gonna come out very soon. So I'm excited to talk about it, but I'll keep hush hush until it's ready and tested. But have a great week ahead, folks, and be careful. Manage your risk. Anything I talk about, this is not financial advice, uh, but just take it with a grain of salt. Learn from what I've covered here, and hopefully it helps make you money. Hopefully it help you survive the upcoming week, and I'll catch up with you guys on the other side.